Hey, it's Albert Sons. Been pretty hard at it. Got a lot going on right now. 2017 Explorer, that little Mini Cooper I've been working on for a while. A Subaru, and more stuff outside. Motor swapped in that one. Was a Japan motor from one of the JDM dealers. And come to find out, the intake will work. All the sensors will work except the stupid coil pack. The coil pack is different, and for whatever reason it won't fire at all. So I'm having to take this intake off the old motor, which is loose. I got it loose just now, and I got to swap it over to the other engine that I put in this car, and gonna get new intake gaskets and all for it. Get it in the car, and hopefully this thing will start and run, because it sounds fine. It's just it won't fire. It has fuel, it has everything, it has all the readings on all data and everything on the scanner. Everything's working, except the ignition coil. And I tried all the pins, testing them all, and everything's got power, everything's got signal, everything's got ground. So I went to swap out the coil pack to see if that was the issue, and when I did, lo and behold, the pins are just on where it slides in that connector is off, just like a hair. It's just enough to where it won't fit. And I tried, it won't fit. I don't want to break it, so I'm resorting to taking the old intake, all of the wiring harness, because if you look at this wiring harness, you know, it don't have no tube across here, and that fuel line right there is different. And I moved the throttle body just so I wouldn't have to do anything to it. And then if you look at this one, it has extra tubing, and everything's good except for this right here. The way they got those pins on the side right here, it's moved up towards the middle, and this one's moved just under the middle. So that is a problem. And to keep us to where if something happens to this and they go down the road and say they need an ignition coil, you would be in a world of hurt, because you would have to change out the wire harness or change out the pigtail to make that work right. And I could change out the pigtail, but why would I do that if I got the whole harness and intake and everything to this American motor versus the Japan motor? So I'm just going to swap out the intakes. It just makes more sense. As long as the motor runs, that's all we need. So if I get it back in there and it'll start up and run like it should, then that won't be done. Then I can do control arms and axle and sway bar end links on the front of it. I found all that when I was up under it, changing out this motor. Floor right here, this is my helper's, my son-in-law. I told them a while back, right, this thing's like 100,000 miles. I warned them. I said, this thing, about 150,000 miles, you probably need to change this water pump if nothing happens to it, to prevent something happening to it. Well, now it's 170 some thousand. That's no good. Water pump failed. Well, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but metal was in here. There you go. Metal was in here. So where these go? This probably goes here. And if you take off one of the cam, it did that to it. So more than likely, that is throughout the whole engine. Main bearings, rod bearings, everywhere there's a bearing or anywhere there's a surface that controls oil is probably failed. So yeah, I got a little cold, sniffling. Been had it for a while now, but I'm all right. First time I've ever pulled this thing out from the hood. I've never done that before in all these ones I've done in the past, and that was a little bit of a chore. I see why people don't do it for the most part. You can do it. It is possible, because I've done it. You can get it out with the manifolds intact. You do have to take the AC off and the alternator off to get it to come fully out, and hope that your torque converter don't get stuck like ours did. And we had to fight that thing and get it out of there. We finally got it out. That's why it's crooked right there. I just ain't got a chance to get in there to straighten it back up, put it back in the transmission. But this is why mechanics say preventive maintenance is key. Because if you do not change certain components, we know it's a known factor of something failing, like a water pump in these 3.5s, to have the internal water pump. When we say 150,000 miles, sometimes it don't take 150,000 miles. Sometimes it's 100,000 miles. Sometimes it's 80,000 miles. I've seen these fail. But it's normally because somebody did not change the oil. You know, they stretched it out far as they could. You know, stretched it out far as they could, all the way up to 100,000 miles or whatever, and eventually wiped out the bearing in the pump, because that's what happened to this one. That's what happened to one before. I've done them in the past. The one I've done, I told him I could put this thing back together and it would run. It may hold pressure, it may not hold pressure, but more than likely it would run long enough, say 6 months, a year, and then you'll be putting a motor in it. And you know, it stands a butts. So we can throw all this money at it now and hope that it's going to be okay, or replace the motor now and get a good low mileage motor, stick back in it, and you're going to be way ahead. The next thing you have to worry about is the transmission. But we have convinced them to change the fluid in this one. Since they had about 70,000 miles, we've changed it a little over 100, and now it's due again. It's drained out now because of the torque converter coming out, so we'll finish draining it and filling it back up when we put it back together. Do another change. Then fortunately, these are the internal type where you can't get the filter unless you break the transmission apart. So yay. But that's me. I'm just busy as hell. I ain't had much to do. I ain't had no downtime. I had to take care of a death in my family about a week or so ago. I was gone a week, but that's the only break I ever got. So I'm here still 7 days a week. I was here yesterday, pulling this motor out, and we finally got it out this morning, or I did. I got it out this morning. Jack helped me all yesterday. So, like I said, preventive maintenance. That one right there is the same way. She didn't change the oil, or the previous owner didn't change the oil, and this thing got low on oil, and it wiped out the bottom end. The bottom end's done. It's knocking real bad and about locked. Luckily, it's a manual, so it's easy to get out, but wasn't a manual. It'd been fun with the torque converter coming out of it, but it was a manual. But that's my days, just hanging in there.